You're watching Next Pitch, the student athlete playbook for parents raising tomorrow's athletes.
Hi, my name's Anthony Leveritz, host of the Next Pitch podcast, and today I am joined by a very special guest, my producer and friend Jason Cardona, and we are going to do something a little outside of what we've been doing, but feel like a super relevant topic for us to be able to discuss. Jason, welcome, man. Good to have you on the show.
Thank you so much. Great to be here.
You're always on the show. Nobody sees you, but you're always on the show. You're the reason. If this is good, it's because of you. So it's a pleasure to get a chance for folks to meet you.
Yeah, likewise. Great to be here. And this show has been so much fun, and it's great because of both of us. So let's keep it rolling.
All right. Well, why don't you lead off, man? What are we going to talk about today? I think there's some pretty big news out there related to what we've been discussing, maybe in a little bit different way. But why don't you lead us off?
Yeah, national news that everyone's kind of hearing about, and it just makes you roll your eyes. But we're at a level where we can actually discuss these things and learn from it, and how to teach athletes, coaches, parents how to be better. So the number one that popped up, the NFL draft, biggest sports news on the planet, of course. The NFL dominates, and Deion Sanders, very talented quarterback, son, just dropping all the way down to the fifth round to the Jaguars. And a lot of that happened probably because of his father's role. So tell me your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we haven't been in any room with them, so we have no idea, right? It's only what we hear, and it's all over the board. But I think the biggest thing that I've heard is that his grade is more of as a backup, right? And he's super confident, bordering on arrogant. And that, whether that's true or not true, that's the perception that is out there. And I think, we're going to talk about three different things today: confidence, integrity, and emotional control. And as parents, if we can have our kids be confident, have great integrity, and have emotional control, I feel like we've all done a great job of parenting. And the best way to get your kids to learn how to have those traits is to model those for them. And for Deion, obviously it worked for him, the way that he shows up, having prime across his chest, like all the things that he does, it works for him. But the NFL told everybody that it doesn't work for Shedeur Sanders. And learning that difference between being confident and being arrogant, I think, is the lesson that came from this experience.
And what do you think, in your experience? You played at a high level, including in overseas in Japan, and coached at an even higher level. What is that fine line? What defines being confident versus being arrogant, where it's off-putting?
Yeah, I think you can talk about being, you're confident in your abilities. Don't talk about what those abilities are. Don't say I'm the greatest. Don't say I'm the best. When your play speaks for itself, right? Everybody in this world sees what you do. What they don't see is every day is who you are. And so when you're in front of a camera, in front of a microphone, on TV playing, being a great teammate, and maybe he is. I'm not saying that he's not. I don't know. But what the NFL said is that we're not sure. And because of what we've seen and what's come out of your mouth. And everything that you say now, everything that you do, there's such a microscope all the way down into the little towns that these kids live in. You do or say something wrong on social media, it's going to stay with you. And I think that's the lesson: is confidence is important. It is a critical component to being a great athlete. And there is that fine line between arrogance and confidence. And if you have deep belief in yourself, keep that deep belief in there as much as you can, and talk about your teammates, talk about your coaches, talk about how great they are. And that's the best way to show your confidence.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's just funny how the NFL released their jersey sales, and number one, Shedeur Sanders, Jaguars.
Yeah, and it's a great thing about the professional leagues, right? So he gets a new start. right? It's not being the number one pick or a first round pick or a second round pick or a third round pick. I think he ended up being a fifth round pick.
Yeah.
But the thing about the NFL, maybe more than any other sport, is what a meritocracy it is. If he comes in and plays well, he's going to get a chance.
Oh,
and he's going to get a chance to show what he's able to do. And hopefully he and many other people can learn a lesson from how this unfolded, what transpired, and just go about showing up a little bit differently.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on, topic number 2, Nico, great quarterback, Arkansas, Tennessee, now UCLA. Just talk about his journey and why he's in the news.
Yeah, I do, obviously, again, I hate nitpicking kids and calling kids out because they are kids still, in 22, 21, 19, they're young, right? But the parents seem to have gotten involved in this process. And I think from what I've read about this, the thing that would bother me as a coach or as part of that process is the integrity that wasn't part of this. And I think sports can teach, it's why I love golf so much. You have to call penalties on yourself, right? And other sports, we don't have that. We got stripes that call them on us, but it requires integrity. And if you've agreed to a certain contract, you have a right at a certain time to hold out. And I think the system may have played as big a part in this as the parent did, but the timing of it is what seems off. If you knew that you were thinking about leaving and you were going about this process of leaving, having that conversation with your coaches earlier in the process, not 2 days before the spring game, that's where you start to sniff out something that doesn't sound and smell quite right.
And when you hear some of the details that I don't think are even fully out yet, kind of understand that he might be making less at UCLA, where his final destination is, versus what he would have got at Tennessee.
Yeah, and I think that's a really important thing, right? And I'm sure the parent believes that they're doing the right thing, trying to get my kid as much as I can, and all of us want that for our kids. But you got to go about those kinds of things, no matter what it is, in an appropriate manner. And when coaches feel like you went behind their back, you weren't honest with them, how can I trust you then to lead my team on Saturdays and through what they're going to go through a tough SEC schedule? And a lot of credit to Heupel. He just said, you know what, we'll move on. And I think that also sent a huge message that there is an appropriate and proper way to go about this. And oh, by the way, NCAA, get your shit together and get this squared away so that we don't have this happening. Like, this is as much on the NCAA not having any sort of integrity for a very long time about this process, but as parents, making sure that you're teaching kids the right way to go about getting something, because wanting more is fine. How you do it is the critical component.
Yeah. And we're still in the wild, wild west of this nil stuff. And it's got to be settled. It's a black eye for the NCAA, so it doesn't look good. Yeah.
And I think this is, the big issue on this one is money, right? This is all, I want more money.
Yep.
But this can trickle all the way down into youth sports. I want more playing time.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't start looking at other programs and thinking about transferring from your 10-year-old club soccer team because you're not getting enough playing time before you've had an appropriate conversation with the coach. And there is the right way to go about doing that. Hey, coach, I want more playing time. Player, go into the coach. What can I do to earn more playing time?
Right.
Bigger picture, more NIL money. Hey, I want to make more money. 6 months earlier in the process, have that conversation so both groups can know what's going on. Yeah. And I think there's that ability to have open and honest communication between young people and their coaches, their mentors. That's where this really got lost.
Yeah. It's sad to see. Topic number 3, again, you can't make this stuff up. Get eliminated by the Pacers, and then someone who shouldn't be involved gets involved.
Yeah, emotional control. It's the third topic today, right? We want our kids to be confident. We want them to have integrity. And we want them to have emotional control. And how do we expect our kids to have emotional control in any environment if we show them that it's just okay to lose our, I already said shit once, so lose your shit on in front of everybody. Millions of people are watching this,
Millions.
and you go lose your mind. And you've heard me talk about this, and I've talked about it on the show, but it bears bringing up again. When you and I first started talking about doing this, one of the stories that I had heard on that you can't make stuff up is a parent in the 3rd grade holding a down and distance marker, turning it into a javelin and throwing it at an official because he didn't like a call.
Insane.
And so this is not just in the NBA. It's certainly not just in the NBA. In fact, it's far less in professional sports. Parents are further removed, but it does show that it goes all the way up to the top. In the lower levels of youth sports and high school sports and club sports, you have parents who just don't have the capability of having emotional control about what's going on the field. And I truly believe that's because parents are trying to live their experience through their kids or relive their experience through their kids, and have forgotten that we've already had one. And this is our kids' experience and an opportunity for them to grow and learn and develop and get great habits from this. And if we don't have the capability of doing that for them and modeling that for them, how in the world are we able to expect them to do it?
Absolutely. It's a great point. This has been a lot of fun. We should do this again.
I think we need to have maybe a weekly or monthly conversation about worst parent in the news. And I just pointing out what, these are very, very high level athletes that have been, in the microscope here for the last couple weeks. But this happens every single day in every single community that has sports. Yeah. And if we can make an impact and plead with parents, teach your kids the habits that and coaches as well, teach your kids the habits that sports should be teaching, I think we'd all be better off. Absolutely. And until next time, guys, thank you so much. And hopefully you can learn something from this and apply it to your own lives and your kids' lives. Well, there's Jason Cardona for you, folks. We'll have him back as often as we can. All right. Thanks, Anthony. Have a great day. Bye-bye.